Okay. It's kind of weird because I didn't see my thumbnail show up, but I'm gonna answer a question here in the text, and give people time to come in. So hopefully you guys can chat. I'm glad Java Mama found us, and then hopefully others will start filtering over here. Let me see. Okay, good. Deb, I see Deb linked to that. Good. Okay, so we'll shut that. Okay. Um, let me. It's my grandbaby. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. Good. Okay, this is live. Rat Racer. Sorry. So it guess it's not my computer after all. It's definitely not my internet. It's YouTube. So hopefully I don't get bounced again because I don't have another backup. Not that if I'm still in the middle of an important thing, I'll start another stream. I hate it when this happens. Some days it's just absolutely annoying. Now I wish I could remember where I was. So I think I was just talking about the whole idea of building your own setup, be it something that is just relying on the sun and the air, or something that you can still rely on electricity, but you just get a cheap fan, you get a heater, whatever. So there's all kinds of different things that you can do, and it's just going to depend on your pocketbook and what's going to work best for you. But there's always a way to get started. And then we get into, and then there's another one that I've never tried. I've heard people try it. I remember Starry Hilder doing this, but taking stuff and putting on a cookie sheet and sticking it in a hot car on a sunny day and cracking the windows open. And it seems like that would work perfectly. Some of the concerns people have mentioned is maybe the toxins and the carpet and the stuff when it gets hot and it gets in the air. That is something to consider, getting in your food. Of course, that's stuff you're going to be breathing in when you get in the car anyway, but just thoughts for consideration. But, it's a good idea if it works and you don't make your food toxic. But I mean, hopefully, if you got some kind of airflow, that might help prevent some of that anyway. So thank you, Dusty. I appreciate that. So then let's talk a little bit about electric dehydrators. Now, of course, I didn't carry all my links over to this live stream, so they're in the other stream. But I didn't get this particular link in, but I did do one several years back where I was doing a comparison, is when I got the first Kasori over here. So I have two. And now they make a bigger size. And on that other previous stream, I did link to the Kasori. So if you're watching this, the outtake on this, or the separate standalone video I make, I will have the link to the Kasori down below. So since I bought those, they did come out with a bigger size that's closer to the size in width and depth of the Excalibur, and I think it's a 10 tray. Actually, when I went to buy the second one, they had the 10 tray, but I decided I wanted to stick with that because I knew I wanted to stack them and to save my space so I could use my space going upwards. Because even though I might have a lot of counter space in this room, since it's not my kitchen, we use this because this whole dance room has become our dining room as well. And so we'll do like a potluck style thing over here. And so we have, drinks usually over here and then the food all along there. So yeah, so a little buffet set up there. And I love this setup. This works really well for me. And I really like the Kasori. Now, before the Kasori, I had the Nesco, and I loved it. So the first one I bought wasn't actually Nesco, but made by the same company, and it was called Backcountry. And it was the one I got for $30, brand new, at an auction. I was surprised nobody wanted it. And I'm like, yes. So it was my first dehydrator. Thing worked great. And I thought, a couple of years later, once I really started getting into dehydrating a lot of stuff, I decided it'd be a good idea to buy another one. And so I bought another brand new one, plus some more trays. So I had two and I was running them a lot. Well, eventually the first one died, but by this point I had two more that I'd found at garage sales, one for $3 and one for $5, and both of them looked like brand new. Well, one looked like it had been used maybe once, but the other one didn't look like it had been used at all. So a lot of times people will, that's the thing with dehydrators, canners, things like that. People will buy this stuff with the intention of using it and then never use it. So don't forget to look secondhand for things like dehydrators, canners, and the like, because chances are you might be able to find Facebook Market, if you have Facebook, is a really great place to go because you can look for people who are selling that within a certain radius to your area. You can pick 5 miles, 10 miles, 60 miles, however far you're willing to travel for something. And those are the kind of things that are quite common. I thought I heard voices. Creepy. Maybe not. Quite common to find secondhand. So I had 3 working ones for a while, but then one by one, each of the last remaining 3 died, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to get it. By this point, I'd had the first Kusori to try it. I decided I'd get another Kusori. I've been very happy with it. So there's no plastic. You'll even see on that link that if thank you, Deb. She got the dehydrator comparisons and tips. But on the other one, I did put the link to the Kusori dehydrator that has both sizes. And it does say on there, no plastic. I mean, there's plastic on the outside. There's no plastic on the inside of the dehydrating part. So your trays that come with it look like this. They're stainless steel. The bad thing about these particular shelves, or whatever you want to call them, is compared to some others, is they have much bigger holes, which is okay for doing certain things. But when you're like me, when I cut up zucchini, I'm cutting it really small. When I'm doing herbs, even if they might sit on there initially, once they dry, they start falling through. So this is why I now use linen. I used to use 100% cotton sheets, but then I started realizing some of that stuff I was getting at garage sales, I couldn't be certain it was 100% cotton. So I decided to just go with linen. Both of them breathe quite well. So I just bought some linen by the yard and then made them to fit. And this is really great because it doesn't slow down the heat, the drying process at all. In fact, it can help speed it up, and it prevents any of your littler pieces from falling through. And I did this with my Nesco too. And then for doing wet things, like I still have these for my Nescos, even though I don't have my Nescos anymore. But yeah, you can get silicone for doing eggs, milk, broth, tomatoes, like when I puree the tomatoes. And then for the Kusori, I had a link in there to these as well. This size fits the smaller Kusori, and then they have the 14 by 14 that would fit the Excalibur and the bigger Kusori. Because I think the bigger Kusori, I think both of those are a 14 by 14. But it's just about finding which one works for you, best for you. I find that can't. What am I missing here? What was I going to say? Okay, so I believe the Excalibur is probably still the most expensive one. The Kusori here for this size, the 140, and I went in there today when I gathered the link, and it had a coupon for $15 off. So that's a pretty good deal. And then I think the bigger one, the 10 tray 14 by 14, because I don't know what the measurements of this are, but it's not 14 by 14, the tray size. And that was $300 off. And I didn't, or not $300 off. Well, that'd be great. You'd be getting paid for it. Oh, I think it was $300. And I don't know if that one had a coupon. It might have. Now, I'm really happy with it. It's more expensive than your standard Nesco, far less expensive than your Excalibur. I've never used an Excalibur. I know a lot of people really, really love theirs. The thing with it is if you want stainless steel trays, you got to pay extra. So not only are you paying extra for the Excalibur itself, you're paying extra even more to get the stainless steel trays. Otherwise, you'll get plastic. Where the Kusori it's all stainless steel inside. The Kusori is made in China. well, I don't know if it still is, at least it was when I bought it, where the Excalibur is mostly made in the US, but not 100%. Nesco is made in the US mostly, just like the Excalibur. There are parts, components that do come from China. So just a heads up on that, just so you know. But I cover a lot of that in the dehydrator comparisons. And please feel free to share what your dehydrator is, the brand, the style. How do you like it? I know I'm really liking the cabinet style quite a bit. And I like the fact that the Kosori, it's just like a door. You open it like a regular door, unlike the Excalibur, unless they've changed the style where you got to set the door in place. This actually is hinged. It opens and closes. Love it. So but let me go back to the Nesco. The nice thing about that is because it's stackable. So you have a cabinet style, but when you have the stackable style, you can do things a little bit differently that you can't really do with a cabinet style. So your cabinet style is going to dehydrate everything at the same temperature at the same time, which is nice. On the other hand, if you're doing something where, okay, I want to dehydrate the golden oregano, which is a little more delicate, but I also want to dehydrate some fruit slices, like apple slices. Well, what you can do is like my Nesco, some of them have a heat source on the bottom, some of the older ones. Most of them, it's the top piece has the heat and the fan. So what I would do is I would stack things in such a way so that on the top shelf would be the food that would need a higher temperature and take longer to dry, the food or even the herbs. And then down at the bottom shelf were the most delicate things, because by the time the heat travels all the way down, it's not going to be as hot. And those things will, and a lot of times you can get it if you stack it just right. You know how fast different things dry. You can have most of that stuff done at pretty much the same time because of that. Things that dry quickly down at the bottom, things that take longer at the top. Worked really good. That's one thing I do kind of miss about having the stackable, but I do have 2 dehydrators now, so I can, if I'm wanting to run them both at the same time, I can put more delicate stuff in one, and the stuff like I want to set at a higher temperature, because most things I dehydrate at 115. A lot of times meat, potatoes, certain vegetables. I can't remember. Did I dehydrate my apples last year at 125? I might have. 125 is the highest I go anyway. But yeah, so I can do those in different dehydrators and all is good. So now let's talk a little bit. So there's some ideas for some different methods. And what I plan to do on the separate video that I make out of this, I'll be putting in pictures of some other people's ideas that they've used. Deb said, I bought a magic mill, which looks like the Kosori, but was about $10 cheaper. It lasted just over a year. Oh, man. Really? Because I knew some people said they had the magic mill and it looks just like it. And you think it would be made exactly the same. Well, that's crazy. Because, see, I don't know. Have I had the bottom one 3 years maybe now? And the top one, I think I got it 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago I got it. Been really happy with them so far. We'll see down the road, several years down the road, they could both die this year for all I know. I mean, I hope they stick with it. But coming back to, talking about dehydrating things for times and temperatures, it's really people want to know the exact amount of time and the exact temperature to set everything, but it's really going to depend on your dehydrator, how you're dehydrating, what you're dehydrating, and even your climate can have a say in how speedy that stuff's going to dehydrate. So if you live in a humid climate, it doesn't matter what, you could set your temperature. You can have the exact same dehydrator, have the temperature set exactly the same. And if you're really humid, your stuff could take longer than mine. If you're really dry, your stuff can dry faster. So it's all your climate does play quite a bit into how fast your stuff's going to dry. So it's really best to just have at least a basic idea, a place to get started, and then go for it, and then keep checking your stuff as you're coming along. Hi, Linda. No big deal. Obviously, you probably figured out I had to go to a second stream already. So irritating. Um, but I wanted to tell you guys. So these are the apples I dried in 2023 because I didn't put anything up last year, and I went ahead and I've been like working through those old apples as that I had from 2016, 2017, 2018. I must not have dried any from 2019 and on because I had so much put up. Finally got rid of the last jar, giving it to my grandson who just absolutely loves the dried apples. But anyway, so these are so good. I think what the difference between these and the older ones isn't just because they're a little fresher, but because I think on these I allowed the apples to get a little well, and my apples are just have gotten better through the years anyway. Oh, they're so good. I'm trying to stay out of them. But I have a lot. I put up a lot in 2023 and I'm so glad I did. And now I know I'm definitely going to be putting up a lot of apples. So I did do a separate video on just dehydrating apples, and look at how good the color looks considering I didn't do anything to them to help hold the color. I didn't add lemon juice, no citric acid, nothing. I just sliced them up, put them on the trays, and I used the cloth covers and then dried them. And they're great. They're so good. So remember, dried apples you can use for more than just snacking on. You can cook them up, use them in apple pie, use them to make apple butter, use them to make applesauce. Just add water and cook. There you go. Now, for when I use them in pies and crisps, I actually cook them in juice of some kind to add more flavor. And in yes, the sugar content is higher in oh, that's not your question. Okay. I do want to say that I can tell the sugar content was higher in these particular apples, which is probably helping to uh with the flavor better because they are definitely sweeter than some of the older ones I had up because my apples are usually pretty tart. So I think these ones were a little more ripe, but they're also more flexible. So the less sugar content your fruit has when you dry it, the more apt it is to dry crisp, where these are pretty flexible. I still broke it, but they're pretty flexible for the most part compared to some of my more tart ones that were just crisp, very crisp. And those are nice because you can powder them up. So you're not going to increase the sugar content in your dehydrated foods. You're just removing the water. But the thing is we tend to eat more because it doesn't have all that water in it that makes us feel more full. So you have a tendency to eat more of your dried stuff. And so in that way, yes, you're getting more sugar simply because you tend to eat more. Where like a little handful of dried apples is an apple, might be a whole apple right here. You could end up eating two handfuls and back to back eating two apples, where if you ate one fresh apple, that'd probably fill you up right there. So that's the only way you'd be getting more sugar. That makes sense. Sorry. Oh, it's my sister that time. Why is everybody texting me now? Anyway, I'll show you a few other things that so rhubarb I'm putting up. This is the last jar I'm going to do for this year, and I'll still have tons of rhubarb, but I'm just going to fill this up. And this is pansies from this year. This is the golden oregano I just started from the garden putting up. Love my golden oregano. Sage I just started putting up for this year. And then I just grabbed jars that were handy, but then I saw these. These are from not last year. Again, I didn't put up anything last year, but from 2023, these are daylily flowers. It's a mix of it's mostly the orange ones, but there's some pink ones in there too. And even though I didn't that's not vacuum sealed, it's still holding the color pretty well. Looks really good. So, but I do vacuum seal all the dried goods. A lot of times your dried goods don't really need to be vacuum sealed, but if you want to help preserve the freshness, the flavor, vacuum sealing does help immensely. I'm glad I vacuum sealed all of these because they were more flexible. And that's going to mean they're more apt to go stale or just turn hard. And I didn't want that. So let's see what else. I think that was most of the points I wanted to cover. And what did somebody say here? Ollie's had box fans for under $20 recently. I don't know what Ollie's is, but it must be a store over there. But regardless, then I had a member discount. See, you can get a cheap fan and set yourself up some kind of dehydrator without having to spend a whole lot of money. Now, I don't run my dehydrators at night because I'm running them on solar power. So if my stuff is not done by evening, especially if it's herbs, vegetables, fruits, things I don't have to worry about spoiling, I turn them off because I don't want to drain the batteries during the night, the battery bank. So right now, these are, I'm not running the bottom one right now, but they are both plugged into solar power. So it'd be nice if we had a solar outlet in here. Patrick was mentioning it yesterday. "Oh, I should put you a solar outlet in that room." It's like, I know how much of a hassle it was when he installed the other, because he has to go under the house. And that would be a long crawl from where the crawl space area is to get. That'd be a long way. I'm like, don't worry about it. We've got extension cords. So I have an outlet out here in the foyer where my laundry room is. And then I just have a couple extension cords going across. So this time of year, definitely using that solar power as much as possible because, hey, we got that. That means now the energy going into it is virtually free. It's not totally free because, we had to put in the time, the work, and the money in setting up the solar system that we have. But, and then here's a side note on that for those who are new to my channel. A lot of people make the assumption because we have solar power that we're 100% off grid. We're not. We have public power. Now, the lights that are facing me are running on solar power because I have them plugged in the same extension cord. But these lights back here are plugged into public power just because I didn't want to have another extension cord running across to all that. So, but I could. They don't draw much energy. I just have them on because they look nice in the background. But yeah, there's a lot. Like I have string lights through the rest of the house, that through the kitchen, the dining room, the living room. And this time of year, all of that runs on solar power. I run our hot plates on solar power. So this morning it was like, no, not building the fire. We let the fire go out yesterday because it was plenty warm. And I figured it was probably gonna be pretty warm today. So it's like, no fire. So today, I have hot plate plugged in the solar power. That's what I heated my coffee up with. I didn't have to make fresh coffee because I had coffee. We still had coffee from yesterday. I always have coffee on hand, always ready to go. It just might need to be heated up. So, and then our toaster oven this time of year is also plugged into our solar power. So we have a total of 4 solar outlets. There's one in the living room, there's one in the dining room, there's one in the kitchen, and then one in the hallway here. And that covers most of what we need it to cover. Oh, and the overhead lights are, well, those I can't just plug into solar power because they're installed in there and run off of public power. And I only have them on because it seems like it makes the picture a little bit too dark. And I only have half of them on. I don't have them all on. So I dehydrated a full dehydrator of carrot greens. They're really healthy, and I hope I can add to soups and stuff. Yes, they're high in chlorophyll. I like to use them. I do dehydrate mine as well. And I just put those in the mixed greens. Excuse me, in my mixed greens blend. I know that's redundant. I'm trying to get myself to stop saying mixed greens blend. It is redundant. But hey, it's a blend of mixed greens. So I'll put those in there. And but I also will use them fresh. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll put some potatoes, cut and peel some potatoes, throw them in a pan, put lots of butter in there, and then sprinkle on the top some garlic, some diced dried onions, and fresh carrot tops. Chop them up and sprinkle those on top. That's actually pretty good. And this is just another way to get more of that stuff in there. I dehydrated hamburger because I watched you do it. Turned out great. It is. It's the nice thing about the hamburger is that you just cook it up and dehydrate it. You strain it, strain out some of the excess fat. I don't rinse the fat out anymore. That was dumb. I should have never done that first time. I just strain it, so you can get most of that fat out of there, just because you don't need all that fat in there, depending on how fatty the meat was. And then you dry it and then you vacuum seal it so the fat in the meat doesn't go rancid. And you don't have to go through the extra step of freezing it after you cook it and then before you dehydrate it when it comes to ground meat, because the ground meat, it's broken up so well that it actually rehydrates quite well. So I'll use that a lot in like maybe I'm going to make a soup, but mostly I'll use it when I'm making an Italian sauce and I'm going to have hamburger in, like a spaghetti sauce. I'll throw the hamburger in there. And because I use anymore, my spaghetti sauce or my Italian sauces are made almost entirely of dehydrated stuff. I put up dehydrated tomatoes, the tomato flakes, my herbs, the meat, the onions, the garlic, almost everything that goes in there, even the olives, even the black olives. So I'll get those and dehydrate them up. And that's a good way to use that kind of stuff, is because you're going to be cooking it for a while anyway. So it rehydrates that stuff really good. Now, one thing I'm going to do this year, I might even try it with stuff I already have back that's canned, but I'm going to hold off until I start getting more stuff to put up. I'm going to take some green beans, carrots, and stuff that I've already cooked, and then try dehydrating just a little bit, and then rehydrating those and see if I like, especially the green beans, and see if I like the outcome of that better. So basically blanching them, but I think I'm going to cook them all the way through, not just blanch. I'm going to cook them all the way through, then dehydrate them, and then try rehydrating them and see if they turn out better than the green beans that I've dehydrated from a raw state. And I did a video several years ago. It's like, I never blanch anything except for potatoes. It's like, I might have to change my mind on that. Now, one thing I'll never blanch again, though, is rhubarb. Totally pointless to blanch the rhubarb. It rehydrates beautifully, and it's messy if you blanch it first. Messy. It sticks to your stuff. It's a pain. I said, I am never doing it this way again. So the next time I tried dehydrating it, I just chopped it up raw, dehydrated it. I'm like, this is great. This works great. And I always made sure, try it a little bit before I do a whole bunch more. Try put in some water, heating it through a little bit and seeing how well it rehydrates. And then also it turns into a powder quite easily, and that can go into anything. So yeah. It's great. Boy, I'm glad I had my backup stream. I almost wasn't going to set it up this time because I thought, I think I figured out the trick. It's rebooting the computer first. No, apparently that was not it. It was funny because I just saw a flash on that last stream, but it didn't say, warning, your connection is unstable. We're reconnecting you now. I didn't even see that. I just saw a quick flash and then it was gone. Well, okay. So on my end, stammer on my end, it still was showing the live button. It was still showing the timer ticking as if I was still going live. But then people started saying, oh no, you're frozen. And I was suspicious because I saw the screen flash. It was just a quick out of the corner of my eye. I knew something was up. So I'm going back to blaming YouTube. It has to be YouTube. My internet connection is great. It's definitely not that. If I'd lost internet, because that happened once during a live show, that takes a heck of a lot longer to get into a reboot show, because I have to wait for the internet. It takes a while for it to reconnect. Even the Starlink, it takes a long time. Well, it feels like a long time for it to reconnect. So no. This is just a quick flash, so it's got to be something on YouTube. And they're still messing with me. Still watching my revenue drop lower and lower and lower at the banner month of the year. It's so weird. I just don't, so that tells me there's a lot of people getting removed from my channel unwittingly, and a lot of people just having my stuff hidden from them. I really hate this game that's being played. Well, it's not a game. It's just we're not going to promote your stuff to your own subscribers. In fact, we're just going to go ahead and delete a bunch of your subscribers while we're at it. Dumb. It's unnerving, but I'm really trying not to stress out about it because I still feel led to keep doing what I'm doing here. I feel that not only, especially the lives, because I get really blessed by doing these lives. I really do. And I feel like maybe I'm blessing other people. I hope and pray. And I also feel like there's a little bit of a ministry I have here. And I'm not just talking about, the faith-based stuff. I'm just talking about encouraging people, letting people know that, you can do this no matter where you are in life. You can do this. You're smart enough, you're good enough, you're able enough. No matter your state, there's always something anyone can do to better themselves, like in my glow up video I was talking about, or just better their situation. And it's kind of a passion of mine to want to encourage people. And I think the video format, I used to try to do this like on Facebook and just posts and stuff. But a lot of times, I know part of it is just poor wording on my part anyway, but a lot of times it comes across as wrong to people and they feel like you're pushing them and feel like you're being judgmental. And it was never like that. I just want to encourage people. I just want to show people that you can do this too. And I realized that one thing that's kind of struck me is that the whole, seeing my face, hearing my voice, and me just talking, and especially in the lives, because you get to see what I'm really like in person, that, I think people have a better idea where my heart's at when I try to share what I've learned. And I've said it so many times that I'm not here to be all about trying to tell people that you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. My way is the only right way. If you do it, if you don't have a Kasori, you don't have a dehydrator. Now, I see that because the Excalibur thing, that used to annoy me. I got to where it's like, even at first, when I first saw an Excalibur, the first time I saw it I hadn't watched any channels. I was like, wow, that's a neat looking dehydrator. I was like, I'd really like to have one of those, but man, that's kind of expensive. But then as I started getting into the whole, YouTube thing and seeing the community, and then you get people, I'd see people comment and say, Excalibur is the only way to dehydrate. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't want one now. That's me being my little independent, I'm going to do it my own way self. And so I try not to ever sound that way. So I love my Kasori. I really do. I like them enough that I bought a second one, but that doesn't mean it's the only way to dehydrate. You can go far cheaper than that. There's lots of ways you can go about it. If you like the Excalibur and it works great for you and it's something you can afford, go for it. I'm not going to judge you for that. But yeah, so that's kind of me. See, I have some leftover chili in dehydrator right now, and I bought mine from Cabela's. It was on sale. I think that Cabela's one, I think I might have even did a little bit of research into that. And it seems like it's a pretty good dehydrator as well. So, yeah, YouTube's been playing games. Have to search. Right. Yeah. You're right, Rose. Or Roseanne. Rosandra. Yes. But it's not just me. It's not just my channel. It's a lot of channels. Because what it's all about, it's not about trying to, well, it kind of is about trying to like minimize certain types of videos or certain topics, but not because there's anything wrong with them per se, but it's about trying to push out the types of videos, the styles of videos, the topics that are trending so they can make more money off that. Right now, this isn't trending. the way that other things are. But the stupid thing about that is that means that when you subscribe, I know some of you have heard this a billion times, but some of you haven't. When you subscribe to a channel because you like that content, you don't have any guarantee that you will see that content, that it will be shown to you. Right. It didn't used to be that way, but this happened just over a year ago where YouTube made some changes so that now what they're going to push to you is the content they want you to watch because that's what's trending and that's what they're making the most money off of. But it's like, wait a minute. If I subscribe to this channel, I subscribe to it because that's what I want to see. I don't want to see all this other garbage that you're trying to force on me. Anyway, there I go again. Whining and complaining. But you know what? I do have, coming back to the whole revenue thing, because I know sometimes that talking about that irritates people, but hey, it's my job. And when you're taking a 75% cut in pay, it's really disappointing and you're working just as hard, if not harder. However, I'm going to talk about faith-based stuff. So those of you who don't like that, just a forewarning, that's what I'm getting into. Now my throat's getting itchy and stuff, so I'm not sure much longer I can go. But anyway, I've really had to keep giving this over to God. It's like, Lord, I really feel like you still want me here right now. And I still want to be here. But honestly, I am scared. I'm scared when I see the revenue dropping and wondering if I'm supposed to keep doing what I'm doing. Because I want to. And I love interacting with people and I love reaching people with this kind of stuff. But it's like, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's going to come to a point where I'm making nothing from YouTube because I keep watching that drop and it's scary. However, I still have my affiliates and that's really been helpful. But with my YouTube, if my channel's not getting out there as much, then I'm not making as much money off the affiliates as I could and as I used to. I still have my Patreon, which is open and free to everyone. And some people choose to donate, but nobody ever has to. But for the few that can do that, that is helpful and I appreciate it. I never asked for it, and I'll never put my stuff behind a paywall. I just don't. Well, I say I never will. And sometimes I wonder if I should keep saying that, but I really don't have a desire to do that. I really don't want to do that. So, and I'm just telling the Lord that I really don't want to go that route. I want my content, no matter what the style is, be it a blog, be it a recipe, be it a video, I want everybody to be able to have access to it, whether they have the money or not. I don't want people to have to feel forced to pay for something so they can learn. Because a lot of what I learned by doing my own research and doing it just my time and energy, but not having to pay for it. So this is me kind of paying back or paying forward what I've been able to learn thus far. And I'm still learning all the time. So, the prayer is that if there's another way, that we can continue to get some kind of income to make up for what I'm losing on YouTube, even if I get to a point where I'm making nothing on YouTube, then I can just keep going and not have to worry about it. And I'm feeling, to be totally honest, I'm feeling more and more every day, even though it's still irritating to watch that revenue drop. I'm feeling more and more peace about it, regardless. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I have my faith, that I have my Father that I can lean on when I get stressed and concerned. It's, I don't know where I'd be or what I'd do if I didn't have my Heavenly Father. But anyway, so I share that because I just want people to understand that I do worry like anyone else. I do get a little nervous, but I am starting to get better at letting go and finding the peace and just keep pushing ahead and doing what I believe is right. And that is to Give this information to people who want it and not have anyone feel like they have to pay for it. So, I mean, that's why in the beginning, YouTube was so great because it's like, wow, I can give this information to people for free. They can, they don't have to pay anything and I can still get paid for the time that goes into it. That's cool. But at any rate, and that may have to, may change in the sense of, your views I might not be making money off your views anymore, or I just might not be getting enough views. But as long as I feel that the Lord wants me to keep pushing ahead and doing this, I will keep doing it because I know that He will take care of all those other loose ends, the ones that I keep wanting to worry about. So, how many trays can be used on one dehydrator? That's all going to depend on the dehydrator. Each dehydrator, if you're buying a dehydrator, each one is going to be different. Like these two, they're exact same dehydrator. They're each a 6-tray dehydrator. You can get some that are 10-tray. And somebody said something about the Cabela's one, if they're still in here. I think that one's typically a 10, but I think I've seen some with more trays than that. And I was thinking it was the Cabela's because you can, so it's all going to depend. If you mean like the, not Excalibur, if you mean the stackable ones like the Nesco, well, you can put as many trays as you want on there. But from experience, I found that going more than 8 trays, even 8 trays is a bit much because what happens is it's going to dry the stuff on the top faster. And the farther down the stuff on the bottom is, the much longer it's going to take to dry. Now, what I would do is I'd take when the stuff on top would get dry, this is why I preferred having several dehydrators going at it. I've had as many as 3 going at a time, and then have 4 to 6 trays in them at a time. And then take the top tray off as soon as that stuff in there is dry. And then you set the thing back down. That's going to dry the next one faster, and so on and so forth. Or you can just keep rotating your trays, which to me, that's a little more time consuming doing it that way. And then how deep you pile the trays too. And here's something I was thinking about, like when I dehydrate certain herbs that kind of like if they're, okay, the things that tend to lay flat, like your comfrey leaves, they're big and they're flat. You don't want to stack those too high. But if they're things that tend to curl up or be more in bunches where they can have airflow going through them, you can pile them a little higher. So a lot of it also depends on the thing that you're dehydrating. That some things you can kind of pile a little bit higher and they'll still dry fairly quickly. Let's see here. Try to watch multiple times. Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate that. I appreciate you letting people know that. Every now and then I feel like, well, maybe I should, I went through this phase where I was trying to play videos on all from different accounts, to see if that would help boost me in the algorithm. And I don't know if it helped. I don't think it did when I did it, but it could be because it's me doing it. And it's all coming from the same IP address. So it almost seemed like it kind of hurt me to do that. So personally, I keep wanting to, thinking it will help, will get me more views. I can give it more likes from different accounts, but I feel like that's kind of me acting on a lack of faith rather than acting on faith. So just like those seeds that I saved, the arnica and the lovage, and come to find out it all got tainted with some other kind of seed, and I don't know how. And I think that was just my lesson. Like I should have just trusted the Lord on that one instead of making that little bit of exception for those 2 seeds last year. So, and my arnica is blooming. So if you saw my Substack post, I showed a picture of it, and even more have opened up. My honeysuckle's opening up. I like to wait till the honeysuckle, the individual little flowers, open because they'll dry faster. If you pick the honeysuckle while those parts are closed and try to dehydrate them, they take forever. So I like to wait till they're open, and then I'll start gathering those, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be dehydrating some honeysuckle. Okay, Java Mama, thank you for coming in and, for transferring over from one live to the other. I have a glass top electric in my kitchen and a glass top. We have a glass top as well. I do know it takes longer for the glass. We've had it for, gosh, oh my gosh, now that I think about it, it's got to be at least 30 years, right around 30 years, because my youngest son is 30 and I got it right after he was born. So a longtime reputable seed company once sent me the wrong seeds in a package of what I ordered. Yeah, I've had that happen too. I don't know if it was a reputable, it just happens. And now I realize, I still don't know how whatever seed got into both the arnica and the lovage. That's weird. I could see if it was just one of those trays, but no, it was both of them. So I tossed them all out. But the cool thing about the arnica is it's blooming. And since arnica goes to seed a lot faster than the way dandelion does, I might have some seed, real arnica seed, not some whatever seed, available in about a month. Probably less, because those dry quicker too. I mean, I just set them out, let them dry, and yeah. So there's that. But the lovage is going to take a while. It takes a while for it to flower and then go to seed, and then that takes a while to dry. So that one probably late fall. Well, maybe not late fall, late summer, early fall ish. I don't remember. I don't remember when the seed was ready last year. Everything's kind of a blur. But yeah, so this year I'm not going to collect the flowers to dry because I still have a lot of dried arnica that I purchased, which is good. So that means I can focus on just letting my flowers go to seed and collecting the seed and getting as much seed as I can. And then it will also, now that I know, it will happily seed itself out there and make more plants. Yay. And the reason I'd much rather have a lot of arnica than certain other herbs that I might use, because arnica is more expensive to buy. It is like one of the most expensive herbs to buy. I don't get that. It's so expensive. Or you can get other types of herbs pretty inexpensive, depending on what it is. But I got lettuce this year instead of, I don't even know what kind of pepper that is. Never heard of it. I thought it said popolo. I tried that. Popolo's kind of got a similar flavor to cilantro, but I wasn't super crazy about it. I did try it the one year. What else was I going to say about, seemed like there was something else I was going to say about either the arnica or was it a question somebody asked? I don't pressure can because I don't have the ability to keep the jars from freezing in the winter. Dehydrating also is less. That's a really good point, Gail. Now, we don't do, let's see, we don't get a lot of freezing weather, but I used to store, before my boys moved out and we made my oldest son's room into a pantry, we used to store a lot of my canned goods out in the shop. Well, one year it did freeze. Now, none of my jars broke, but it caused me to lose some seals. So if you keep your jars in a place where it can freeze, you have the possibility of the stuff inside freezing and expanding and breaking your jars or popping the seal, which is the popping the seal is going to be the most likely thing to happen. So yeah, no, there was one year there was 2 different times I've ordered seed and ended up with something completely different. I never went back and said, hey, I got the wrong seed. But one of it was I was trying to grow soapwort because I was curious about it. I wanted to try it. And I got something entirely different. I don't even know what it was, but it wasn't soapwort. And then another time the first time I tried to grow arnica, I had ordered arnica seed. And what I got was, and it it didn't bloom until the second year. Well, arnica will bloom in the first year. This stuff didn't bloom until the second year. And it had yellow flowers, but they seemed bigger and they didn't look like the pictures of arnica I'd seen. Not quite. Similar. And then somebody said, that looks more like coreopsis. I'm like, what's coreopsis? So I had to look it up and I'm like, this is coreopsis. Come to find out, coreopsis has health benefits too. But I decided that wasn't important enough for me to grow. I think if I remember correctly, I did a video on it years ago. Coreopsis can be helpful for diabetes. It's one of those things it was helpful for. But the arnica was far more important to me because of its use in helping with muscle soreness. So it's something I use in my muscle rub. And I always combine it with comfrey and use it for healing sprains and breaks, bruises, and the like. Arnica is excellent for that. And so is comfrey. So I like to combine them together. I'll do soaks, I'll do poultices, and then I'll make the infused oils for the muscle rub. But like for the broken toe, when I broke my toe, 2 different times, I've broken a toe since I've had comfrey and arnica. And then did soaks with that and Epsom salts. Really helped heal up my broken toes quite quickly. It was amazing how fast it worked. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just reading comments. What are your thoughts on vacuum sealing grains? I saw where the person filled a paper sandwich bag 2/3 of the way full and sealed it. Mentioned always put loose grains in paper sack and seal. I personally, okay, if it's flour, I get it. It depends on what you're sealing it in. Maybe like sealing it in plastic, like the plastic vacuum seal bags. I can see doing it in paper. If you're vacuum sealing into jars, like let's say your half-gallon jars or something, you wouldn't need to do that. I don't vacuum seal my grains. I don't. The things that are going long term, the grains that go long term, I put in Mylar. I prefer not to. I'm getting less and less or more and more disenchanted with Mylar because you can't really reuse the bags I'm finding. They get holes in them. So anyway, but for the stuff in long term that I want to just store somewhere and forget about it, I do use Mylar. I don't use oxygen absorbers. I just push as much of the air out as I can and then seal it with a flat iron, then put it in a big, thick plastic bucket, big heavy duty bucket that's got a gamma seal, or like Patrick, when he worked for when I was talking about how he worked for a couple of years, 4 hours away, that was working in the Seattle area, treating water for the city of Seattle. So they'd get these really big buckets and these great scoops. Those things are great. And so I think they were for like the chlorine and stuff like that, but they had they have a twist on type lid and little tabs that make it so easy to open and close, but it gets a good seal. I love those buckets. And so he brought me home a bunch of those things, scrubbed them out really, really good. But I wouldn't pour the food directly into those. I always either put them in the bag they came in, which is typically paper because I'm getting from Azure Standard, or for long term in the Mylar, and then in that no oxygen absorbers because I find them to be pretty much a complete waste of money and time, mostly money. I planted calendula for the first time this year. Looks like it's coming along well. Yay. Yeah, mine is kind of had a slow start, some of it, but it's coming along. It always has a slow start here. And then once the weather really starts warming up and start getting more sun, then it's like, boom, it starts exploding like that mojito mint out there. Good gravy. But I like that because it's like I walk by. I have to walk by that. It's starting to wrap around the other side. I used to just having it going across this south side of the garden. Now it's starting to wrap around to the east side. And well, that's the same way. There's 2 ways I can walk to the coop, but usually that's the way I go a lot of the times. And so I'm walking by that mojito mint, I'll reach down and grab a handful or two, just pull it off of there. And as I'm heading back to the coop, just throw it in there, throw it into the nesting boxes. I do that now almost every day. I love having thrown those mints in there. And the lemon balm's out front, but sometimes I'll grab a bunch of that and then walk back there with it. So it's great when you have a lot of that kind of stuff and you have other uses for it. And I say this in my Monday video, but I love mojito mint. I love the flavor. It's got a more mild flavor than peppermint. It's not strong, but it's got that, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it if you've never tried it. It's just a more, to me, it's a more soothing type flavor. But as a hot tea, I don't really care for it. The flavor just is not there for a hot tea. It's got to be peppermint for a hot tea. But for a cold infusion, so you just shove a bunch in a jar, fill it up with your water, stick it in the fridge. And then the next day, so good. And then, of course, I started a batch of the banana peel mojito mint vinegar because it's the best for getting a vinegar that tastes like lemon juice. Like real lemon juice. It still amazes me every time. So if we're buying bananas at the same time the mojito mint's going crazy, yep, got to have it. I got to make at least a couple of half gallons of that because of that. It's a great vinegar as a lemon juice replacement. So I'd use it instead of adding lemon juice or lime juice to salsa, you can use that. And it's cheaper. Unless, of course, you live in a place where you get, you have lemon and lime trees. Unlike here, where something like that just never grow. Citrus doesn't, well, I did have some citrus trees inside for a short period of time until they all got infested with something. I'm blaming it on California because I had the one that I bought locally, looked to the company up online, found that one was fine, the lemon tree. It was doing good. It was starting to get little lemons on it. So I bought 3 more citrus and then just had them shipped up from California from the same company. And they were bare root, but there must have been something in there somewhere because it came from the citrus trees, I'm positive. And it infested all 4 of my citrus trees, and they were not cheap. And a few of my house plants and killed them. Several different bugs in there. There was white flies and a few other things. Killed all of them, and they were not cheap. So I can't bring myself to do citrus again. Though I do have a grapefruit tree over here in this corner that we started from seed. Just because I'll put up a grapefruit. Oh, look, the seed's sprouting. We've done it before, and we had this little grapefruit tree for a couple of years. I don't think I'll ever get fruit, but who knows? Could happen. They make pretty houseplants. And when they bloom, any of your citrus, if you've never grown a citrus at all, at least I had it long enough to get flowers. Oh, the aroma is just so amazing. They smell so good. I had that one grapefruit that it got as far as starting to bloom. Oh, smelled so good. The Federal Express is pulling up along the side. Must be a new driver. It's like usually UPS delivers to our back door and then Federal Express delivers to the front. I don't care. Whatever. As long as it's in a place that is less likely to get, porch pirated. Haven't had that happen here yet. I planted a pineapple sage plant I picked up from a store, and it smells like pineapple and has beautiful red flowers on it. Oh, I did have a pineapple sage for a short period of time. It was really pretty. I remember now. Somebody's asked me about that. And those pretty red flowers, if I remember, they're kind of, I don't know how to describe it. Or I know there's got to be a specific name for it, where they kind of grow like they have different lobes to them. Those were so pretty, but the plant didn't last. It didn't make it through the winter. I was disappointed. I was sad because it was really pretty. So anyway, yes, now I'm just rambling. I can't remember if there was anything else I needed to talk about or wanted to talk about, or just checking here. Oh, by the way, there is something. I do say this, I just got to remind everyone. I know Deb already sent me some of her garden photos for the garden photo collaboration. And remember, you have plenty of time. I'm just letting people know so you can start taking photos as things start coming along and as you start putting up food from your garden. So get some nice garden photos, get some nice food preservation photos. So it doesn't matter if it's dried, canned, whatever. Nice photos. And then once you got all the photos you'd like to send, then I'll be doing the photo collaboration thing. So just those will go to raincountryhomestead@gmail.com, but don't send them in the same email if you're doing both collaborations, because they're two separate ones. So we'll do garden collaboration. So all your garden photos go in that one. And then the food preservation collaboration. So all those photos go in that one. And I also need more preparedness testimonies if anybody's got some they'd like to share. Because I was going to go shoot another one of those videos and I'm like, I'm out of stories. Well, I have one, but it's not enough. It's not enough to fill the video. I usually try to have 3 or 4, depending on the length. Unless somebody sends me a really long one. Hummingbird cake. See, thanks for the reminder to make hummingbird cake. It sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't know if I've ever had it. I don't know what it is. Banana peels? Oh, you're talking about the banana for making like the vinegar to use in the hummingbird cake, I'm assuming. At any rate, hummingbird cake sounds interesting. Let me see. Let me scroll up and see if there's might have been any questions or something I might have missed. Okay, saw that one. Saw that. Oh, okay, you're the talking about the bread doesn't come out right here. Rising times are way shorter. Well, the wind is really blowing out there. Got to bake at higher temperature and shorter cooking times. And you said you're at sea level. I thought it would be, shorter. No, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I had to think about that a bit. We're not far. I mean, we're above sea level, but we're not. I mean, we're not far from the beach, really. It takes about, the closest beach is about a 20-minute drive. Hummingbird cake is awesome. Well, everybody just keeps telling me how good it is. But I don't have any hummingbird cake here to try, people. So when are you going to make it materialize in front of me so I can try it? Well, I dehydrate veggies and fruit, but when it comes down to eating it, I hesitate out of fear that it might be bad. No, it shouldn't be. If they're dehydrated, they're fully dehydrated, they're not going to be bad. Don't be afraid. You got to try it at some point. People buy dried food in the store all the time. Dried fruits, dried meat, and not, people aren't afraid to eat that, and you don't even know what they're putting in that stuff. So you shouldn't be afraid. I eat dried stuff all the time. Remember I was talking about the apples? Oh, man, these are the best, some of the best dehydrated apples I've done to date. So good. And these, they're almost 2 years old because they're from 2023. They're super good. We finally just finished off the last of the 2016 and 2017 ones. I think I had 2018 ones too. And I was working through those and realized, wait, I still have some from 2016 and 2017. So I've been trying to get the grandbabies to eat them. I've been eating them. I've been using them to make stuff. Finally, they're gone. So now get into the fresher ones. And they were still good, but these were better. Yeah, I've done banana. I like banana slices. I've tried it a couple different ways. I do like the ones that I don't know what they used to dry them with, but they use coconut oil on them and they turn out crunchy. Some people don't like those, but I get the organic ones from Azure Standard and they're pretty good. But I also like the ones you dehydrate yourself and they're chewy. I like them both. Just depends on my mood. And then there's freeze dried ones, which I don't, as far as snacking on, I don't really care for them. The reason I have some on hand is so I can, if I want a banana flavor in something, I like the freeze-dried bananas so that I can powder them and then use them to flavor. So I've tried making a banana cream pie using them, and for some reason it didn't set up, and I don't know if it was because of the bananas, maybe something in the bananas, or if I just didn't cook it long enough. So I may have to, I mean, I'll try again at some point. It was still tasty. It was just like banana pudding on a crust. I mean, well, that's basically what a cream pie is, but usually, it's when you cut it, it's going to hold its shape. So yeah, I do like banana slices. One thing I will say though about dehydrated banana slices, that's if you can even get them to last. You vacuum seal and stuff. If you can keep yourself out of them, I still recommend consuming them within a year, because after that they're just not as good. There's something about even vacuum sealed in the jar. There are certain things that just don't seem to hold their flavor and texture as well and color over time. Kind of like the citrus slices I was talking about the other day. But some people said, what did they say? I think it's weird. Soak them in citric acid. Well, or ascorbic acid, which is pretty much the same thing. It's like, yeah, but they already have that in it. So I don't know why they would turn black. I still think it's weird. But they do still taste good. I didn't think to say that in that video, the this and that from this week, a couple days ago, is that they still tasted fine. They just don't look pretty. They just turn black after several months or so. I don't remember how long. So the hummingbird cake, I'm assuming that's what it is, a banana pineapple spice cake. That sounds good. Yummy. I'm assuming that's what that is. The only thing I like that is freeze dried are those peppermint candies at Christmas time. I've never tried. I don't think I've tried any freeze dried candy. I've heard people freeze drying Skittles, and that's a pretty yummy thing. I'm assuming they're crunchy instead of chewy. So I'm like, well, if I wanted something crunchy, I would just get something crunchy, It's like freeze dried pineapple is really tasty. But I think when it comes to a snack, I actually prefer dehydrated pineapple. Dehydrated pineapple is so good. That's another one that I cannot. If I get pineapple, I don't do it very often. And I dehydrate it up. And it's like, okay, I'm going to put this up for a special day, for a rainy day. Boy, that sure looks good. And it's gone. And what's the point? Yeah, the red and white swirled ones. Yeah. Huh. Are they then? Do they then turn out crunchy? There's those Bob's peppermint candies. Those are kind of like that anyway. They're real airy and they're more crunchy. Those are really good for making a peppermint cream pie because you can powder them, and they cook down easily because they're very airy. So, hello, Billy. Good to see you here. And I'm getting ready to leave too. But hey, again, I know you guys are all busy and it's like, got to at least stop in and say hi. And I appreciate it. I really, really do. I keep thinking, oh, I know something I keep meaning to show you guys. So I'm not going to tell you what the video is, but I was shooting a video a few weeks ago and this came into play. But I have this cute little lantern, except for it's not really a lantern. It is a pencil sharpener. It actually does work too. I just have it for a decoration, but I found it at a garage sale for a few cents. I thought it was so cute. I've had it for quite a few years. So I just have it hung up. Isn't it cute? It's so adorable. It almost looks like it would really work. So I set that here. I got to go hang it back in its spot, but it's a pencil sharpener. Love that. So some of the cute things you can find at garage sales. They might be somewhat pointless, but hey, I don't know if we have any other pencil sharpeners that aren't electric, so could be handy because I like having pencils. I like using pencils a lot. I use pencils all the time, more than I do pens. Why? Because I make a lot of mistakes or my handwriting's so bad I realize I can't read that. I better erase it and write it a little neater so I can understand what it says. I mean, I've been one to like write grocery lists, I'm making it out through the week or whatever. And then you go to the store and you're like, what on earth is that? I don't even know what that is. And I wrote it. And I think one time, Patrick, I think this was fairly recently. He had to run into town. And so he thought he'd go to Costco, do anything at Costco before he left. And so I wrote him out a list. And I think he took a picture of, he's like, what is that? And I had to look at it. I'm like, oh, I know what it is. I don't remember what it was, but it was, I don't remember now what it was, but that's how bad my handwriting is when I'm in a hurry. Since I have 7 children, I bought one of the old school wall sharpeners. We have one of those too. We found at a garage sale. Those are, if you find the original ones, those things are good. That one's out in Patrick's shop though. He installed it in his shop. I just keep forgetting it's out there. But those ones were made to last. They are built to last. I should go look and see if it's still out there. He used to have it right next to the door going into his shop. But when I got an electric sharpener sitting right next to me when I'm writing notes, that's a lot easier than getting up and going out to the shop. But yeah, those was to say you can buy them new online still, but they're $30 to $50. That's actually doesn't sound like a bad deal because those were built like a tank. They had to make it through school kids. Everybody standing at the pencil sharpener and standing in line at the pencil sharpener. And yeah, those things are great. I can't remember, did he find it at a garage sale or did he get it? Because he's got it picked up a few things from school sales when school's trying to clear out old stuff and get in new. It's like, man, they shouldn't got rid of that. That's a good sharpener right there. My great grandkids might sharpen their pencils with it. They just might. And maybe even further on down if we're still here, if this earth and us are still around. The rate things are going, we never know. This could be all burnt away. Oh dear. Blah diddy blah diddy blah. Here I go again, trying to wind down, trying to close a show, and I just can't bring myself to do it. Though I've got text messages I've got to reply to. I got a video I should finish editing, and I really want to get out there and get a little more gardening done while it's nice. Because it's not, well, the wind is blowing like crazy now, but that's okay. It's hot out there at the same time, so the wind will cool me off while I'm working in the garden. I'll have to think about that. By the way, my doggone chickens I forgot. Well, it's not entirely my chicken's fault, but I have like this little piece of fence that I set up in front of the greenhouse door when it's a hot day and I got to open the greenhouse. But I don't want the chickens going in there. I forgot to set that in place yesterday, and they dug up a couple of my tomato plants. Can't really be mad at them. It's my fault. But I had backup plants ready to go because all my excess plants, I kind of stick them in a bucket, some dirt and water. And then if something like that happens, I can replace them. But I think they're going to survive. And I did go ahead and put a few of those other ones in the ground just in case. So I got to remember not to make that mistake. Make sure chickens can't get into greenhouse. Once the tomato plants get to a certain size, it's usually not too big of a deal because they're usually really well rooted and they'll just dig around them. But any low-hanging fruit, you know what happens to. So, yeah, I try to keep them out of the greenhouse, but they like it in there because it's dry. And their stuff. Anyway, I really should get going, though. So, I hope you all enjoyed my shows since I had to do a reboot. Enjoyed the topic for today. And, if you're watching this at the replay, please feel free to share your comments, your thoughts, your ideas on, ways you like to dehydrate, things you like to dehydrate. Go ahead and share with us in the comments. And of course, those won't carry over into the standalone video. But yeah, anyway, so I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for coming. Take care and God bless. We'll see ya.